The Indian Miss World and the Rage of Muslims of the World. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This story continues the story of the Arab sugar daddy and the beautiful Indian girl and the story of the Indian child bride and the old Arab husband. They were written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. It is a love story narrated in 6 books. Book 3. From a Slum Girl to the Queen of the World Beauty. Copyright. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author except by a reviewer, who may quote brief passages from a review for printing in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. All characters in this novel are fictional and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is merely coincidental. Chapter 21. Tears of Joy for Two Hearts. After 1 hour of tense waiting, someone came and requested the 2 Indian ladies to come to follow him because the manager was now free to talk to them. The 2 girlfriends Ronnie and Aphrodite strolled with their hearts beating louder and louder. When they enter the manager's large, beautiful office, they are asked to be seated. It is the same person who escorted them in and requested them to sit down. The manager is an Arab and is speaking in Arabic, still engrossed in a conversation on the phone when they sat in their seats. He concluded his conversation in 5 minutes, turned to face the 2 Indian women, and said in English, "What can I do for you, nice ladies?" Ronnie had already told Aphrodite that when they reached the bank, she should speak for herself, and she taught her what to say and how to say it. Despite that, the frightened girl remained silent, and that irritated Ronnie. "Well, is there any problem?" asked the bank manager when he realized that the 2 Indian women were worried and neither of them is willing to speak. The question of the manager forced Ronnie to open up her mouth and speak on behalf of Aphrodite. "There is no problem, sir. This is my girlfriend, Ifit Khan. She lives with me in my house. Ifit wants to inquire about her account in your bank." "What is her account number?" "She lost her bank book and she doesn't remember exactly what her account number is." "Well, I don't like to be rude or mean in any way, but according to our bank policy and for privacy purposes, I would like Ifit Khan to talk to me herself concerning her account with us. Since you said you are her girlfriend and she trusts you, I do not mind having you here with us, but she must speak to me. I cannot talk to you about her bank account even of her being present with us." "I am so sorry, sir. Ifit is a bit shy, but after hearing from you, she can speak for herself now." "It is okay. Now tell me, Ifit, when did you open an account with us and what kind of account are you holding?" "It is my husband's account." "Well, in that case, I am sorry. I can't talk to you about your husband's account with us unless he comes with you and permits us to discuss his account with you." "No, sir. My girlfriend Ifit has not understood your question. Her English is not that good. It is her account. If she has a problem with English, I can call my Hindi interpreter and talk to her through him. I came here last year many times and I talked to you in Hindi. You had someone who was telling you what I was saying in Hindi. At that time, my Saudi husband was alive and was in the Mumbai Arthur Road jail." Ronnie felt a bit relieved when Ifit finally began to speak for herself and make intelligible sentences. The bank manager did not recognize Ifit Khan because when she came to him in the past, she was covered from head to toe in a black burqa. However, this day, she is dressed up in tight jeans and a sleeveless top that exposes half of her sexy breasts and large backside. Her marvelous beauty and sexy body captivated his heart, and she made a permanent lingering impression on him. She appeared to him as a black ghost of darkness that had been miraculously transformed into an angel of light. The moment she said to him, "At that time my Saudi husband was alive and was in jail," the manager began to connect the dots. "What is the name of your Saudi husband?" "Sheikh Firoz bin Ahmed." Ifit Khan could forget anything in her life except the name of the evil old man who had kept her under his domination and captivity for over 10 years. She can forget her name, but she can never forget the name of that old serpent that took the shape of an old man, or maybe the devil himself was incarnated as an old Arab man. When the lovely Indian girl speaks the full name of her Saudi husband, the bank manager's pupils dilate to double the normal size, and his mouth is fully opened in astonishment. Then, he looked at Ifrit for a while, composed himself, and replied, "My goodness, we did everything we could to locate you." The two Indian ladies, Rani and Aphrodite, began to shake and sweat terribly when they heard his response. Both have concluded that the bank is trying to locate Ifrit Khan because of the deposit of illegal monies related to the blackmail of an Indian citizen. The rich Indian woman Rani Krishna knows no one can ever believe that a 19-year-old Indian girl could earn 100 million Indian rupees overnight. "Why are you looking for her? Is there any problem, sir?" "It isn't only a problem. It is a huge legal dispute." Rani tried to speak further, but her throat dried up and her tongue is paralyzed with fear. Aphrodite felt like standing up and running for her life, but her feet have been rooted in the carpet under her chair while her heart is beating in terror. She hung onto Rani's arm. The bank manager read the thoughts of the two Indian women and realized that there was great dread mirrored in their faces. "I am sorry. I did not mean to scare you, ladies. There is nothing wrong or unlawful that the girl Ifrit Khan has done to be afraid of. Please both of you relax and listen carefully to what I am going to say." Although Aphrodite and Rani have been reassured by the manager, a lingering dread follows in the shadows of their minds. After the murder of Sheikh Firoz bin Ahmed inside the Mumbai jail by one of his Indian inmates, his Saudi wives, sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters in Saudi Arabia want to inherit his properties and bank balance. According to Islamic Sharia law, each one of them is entitled to a certain share of his inheritance. Of course, each son according to the Quran is supposed to get a double share of each daughter, and each brother has to receive double the share of his sister. While he was still alive, Sheikh Ahmed transferred ownership of his business building and 3 houses in Saudi Arabia, one in Eritrea and also one in Tehran, to his 4th wife. Our internal procedures and the prevailing law stipulate that unless the 4th wife is found or legally proven dead, the building and 5 houses cannot be sold nor any of the Sheikh's estate be distributed among his kin. That is the first problem. The second problem is more complicated. The late Sheikh Firoz bin Ahmed has only one joint account in our bank. It is a joint account that he created for himself and his 4th wife. Ours is an international bank, and hence our bank is not subject to Islamic Sharia inheritance laws. We are bound and governed by international banking laws that govern just about any other international Western bank. So, the only person entitled to claim his estate and his bank balance is and remains his 4th wife. In the event of the death of one co-signer, the said joint account reverts to a single account owner, falling to the surviving account holder. Thus, the sole and final beneficiary of the account is his 4th wife. Well, this did not sit well with his relatives. Had the account not been a joint account at the time of his death, then they would be entitled to his estate, divisible according to the Quran. In this case, they have no claim. The bank manager paused for effect and scrutinized the women who would soon become his most important non-commercial customers. He resumed his monologue when no one asked any questions. Not surprisingly, his family members sued us and tried to force the bank to release the money held in the trust to a Sharia authority for distribution. Although the Sharia court at Jeddah ruled in favor of the relatives, still our bank rejected the decree of the Islamic court. As I have said already, our bank is an international bank and follows international banking laws. Sheikh Ahmed, regretfully, left nothing in writing to instruct our bank to distribute the money among his relatives in the event of his death. "Who is the 4th wife?" asked the loving Indian woman Rani Krishna, who is following the manager very carefully. Her girlfriend Aphrodite Khan has understood absolutely nothing of his legal interpretations of the law. Her main worry is how she could escape out of the bank without being arrested again and thrown behind bars. She would rather prefer to be sent to the gallows or her grave than to return to the rape for free in the rotten Indian women's prison. 1 minute please, allow me to explain further. When the Saudi relatives of Sheikh Ahmed failed in their attempt to force our bank through the Islamic court of law to release the funds held by our bank, they submitted a complaint to the Saudi royal family. They expected that the Saudi royal family would exert pressure on the Abu Dhabi International Bank in their favor. We can only assume that the royal family seemed to know of the international laws that govern foreign banks and hence did not interfere. Now our bank wants to get hold of the fourth wife and place the matter in her hands because the legal disputes with the Sheikh's relatives are costing us a lot of legal fees. This naturally means that we have not left a stone unturned while trying to locate the fourth wife. We have used all means necessary, including placing legal notices in the newspapers in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Eritrea, and, of course, India, and we have sponsored advertisements using the local media in all countries to this end. All this time, we have been unable to locate the slightest clue about her whereabouts, as if the earth is opened and swallowed her inside. "Is the fourth wife an Indian?" asked the good Mother Rani with a quivering voice while her heart was beating as loud as an Indian tabla. "Yes, she is, and now she is sitting beside you." "Yes," shouted the exceedingly excited Indian woman Rani. She pulled Aphrodite up by her hands, hugged and kissed her, and said, "Congratulations, my beloved girlfriend." "Hold on. Before you congratulate her, you should ask me how much money she has in our bank." The extremely happy mother let go of Aphrodite's body and looked at the bank manager. Before he said anything, the manager entered the name of Ifat Khan in his computer, and then he whistled loudly and said excitingly, "Ifat Khan, you're the richest woman in India. You have 2 accounts with us. In one account, you have a total of 44 crores of Indian rupees. In case you do not know how much money in a crore in Indian currency, 140 million rupees is. This is equal in the American currency to $2 million US. Rani Krishna jumped on her feet, pulled Aphrodite towards her, and embraced her again so dearly. Then, she let go of her body, shook her hand, and told her that she had a lot of money in the bank. Aphrodite's fear cautiously disappeared, and she smiled uneasily. She looks at Rani jumping up and down, shaking and holding onto her hand. Some of the joy in Rani's heart started to spill over onto Aphrodite, for she began to think that maybe she should follow Rani's lead and do the same. Aphrodite began to scream and jump up and down like Rani, with both of them dancing excitedly and turning around in circles like 2 schoolgirls on the school playground or inside the gym. The bank manager put his right hand on his right cheek and waited for the 2 Indian women to come to terms with their windfall. Is she allowed to use her money any time she wants? Yes, of course, it is her money. No one has the right to stop her from using it. All I need to see is 2 official documents verifying her identity. Rani had already anticipated that demand and prepared Aphrodite with her Indian passport and ration card. Once again, Rani hugged Aphrodite, and this time she printed another kiss on her cheek. Can she get a debit card or a bank book so that she can have access to her funds? Yes, she can. Even if she wants to withdraw now any amount of money, she can get it. By the way, sir, Ifat Khan is the most beautiful Bollywood film actress in history. Her first movie was a great hit, and now she has millions of fans. I never knew she was an actress. The last time she visited our bank, she was a different girl. She wore an Islamic abaya and niqab. That is why I failed to recognize her today. Ifat looks now like a female caterpillar that has come out of her ugly cocoon and become a lovely, colorful butterfly. That was all in the past, sir. She is a vastly different girl now. She is a great heroine, and she is going to act in another great movie very soon. Well, I am honored to meet a film actress from Bollywood. Anyway, you ladies have forgotten to ask me about the second bank account of Ifat Khan, which is hotly disputed in the courts in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. The first bank account that I have revealed to you is not even known to the relatives of the late Sheikh Firoz bin Ahmed. It was created by Sheikh Ahmed before he died in the name of Ifat Khan. He requested our bank transfer of 14 crores in Ifat's new account that he created for her. There is also the matter of a total deposit of 30 crores of rupees by Mahmud Khan. The name of the evil man instantly wiped out the glow of happiness from the hearts of Rani and Aphrodite. The fear that had evaporated just minutes earlier started to seep back in. Might the manager find the last transaction suspicious? Of course, the banker is indeed wondering about the last transaction, but when no information is forthcoming, he lets it slide, as he feels it is none of his business. Now prepare yourselves for the best news yet. I am going to reveal to you how much money we are holding in trust for you in the second account. That is the account that used to be a joint account and has since reverted to a single owner account upon the death of her late Saudi husband. The bank manager paused and looked at the two Indian ladies for a while before he said, "There are 459 crores of Indian rupees in Ifit's second account." Rani Krishna's heart fluttered and missed a few beats. But the richest girl in India has simply smiled. She does not react because she does not know what a crore is. She took all her cues from Rani. If Rani is happy, then she knows she should be happy. So, she kept looking at Rani to see if she acted the same way she did when the amount of the first account was revealed to get an idea of how she should respond to her second divine revelation, which God has used an Arab man as his angel to reveal his heavenly manna to her. This time, Rani has not hugged her. She neither shook her hand nor kissed her cheek. There is no theatrics, jumping around, or dancing. Instead, Rani has begun to weep. Aphrodite is crushed and tries to console her, saying, "Please do not cry, Rani. You are the only person I have in this world. I am not going to leave you because I have found out that I have a lot of money in the bank." Rani turned to Ifit and hugged her as tightly as she could. She wanted to enter into her precious heart and live there forever. Then, she said to her, "I am not afraid that you are going to leave me because of the huge amount of money. When I found you in jail and took you into my house, you had no money, and if you still do not have any money, I will continue to remain your best girlfriend and give you shelter and protection. However, I am weeping for the terrible abuses you went through at the hands of those who have since died and left this wealth in your possession. It is the God in the heavens I have to acknowledge. He is the one that had punished them and took their money and worldly possessions and gave them to you. They wielded their money like deadly weapons and used it to manipulate everything and everyone around them. Now, look at what their money had done for them. One of them, his greed and lust led him to jail where he got murdered like a pig butchered in a slaughterhouse. The other one could not face his accusers and public scandal and shot himself in the head and died alone as a stray dog. The Arab bank manager has not understood much of the conversation since the happy two girlfriends Ifit and Rani have just reverted to speaking in Hindi. He is watching them with great interest. He had never seen anyone so stirred up emotionally in his bank than the two Indian ladies sitting before him. After she finished talking to Aphrodite, Rani used her handkerchief and wiped her tears. Then, she said proudly to the manager, "Sir, you have brought glad tidings to the heart of a girl who has not known happiness for many, many, many years. No woman has ever been abused more in the entire world than this poor young girl. For that reason, I am going to throw the biggest party Mumbai has ever seen, and I am inviting everyone I know in Bollywood. The first person I will be inviting is you. Please give me your card so I can call on you." "Thanks, ma'am, but I have done nothing to deserve praise or invitation. I have done my duty and nothing else." "I know that, but if your sister and niece are happy and have invited you for food in their house, would you refuse to come?" "Of course not. What makes my sister and her daughter happy makes me happy too. Here is my business card, and I am honored that you see fit to invite me to your house for the party." That day, the abused girl Aphrodite Khan entered the Abu Dhabi International Bank penniless and came out with a bank balance of 503 crores of rupees or 5,030,000,000 Indian rupees, which corresponded to over 72 million US dollars, including equity in 5 houses and a building in Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, and Iran. If her 5 houses in Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, and Iran and her big building in Jeddah are sold, her bank balance might reach over 150 million American dollars. Even the daughter of the richest Indian businessman Mukesh Ambani does not have 10% of what Aphrodite Khan has inherited from her two evil captors and rapists Ahmed and Mahmood. Her mother Rehana was acquitted of the false charge of marrying 3 men at the same time, and her life was snatched from death through stoning. Then, the Saudi royal family compensated her with a sum of 3,800,000 Saudi riyals, which is equivalent to 1 million US dollars, equals 7 crores rupees, or 70 million Indian rupees. Today, her abused beloved daughter is vindicated by God and receives 150 times more compensation than her loving mother. Alas, Rayhana Khan is now living in the United States of America with her handsome lover Jamal Khan and her adorable son Irfan Khan, not knowing her only daughter Ifat Khan has been also vindicated and compensated by the just and loving God of the heavens. She is still thinking that her beloved daughter is still under captivity, rape, and abuse at the hands of the evil old Saudi man Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed. Chapter 22. Traveling overseas. Aphrodite Khan's bulging bank balance account boggled the mind of Rani Krishna, who simply attributed it as divine mercy and heavenly retribution for the life trauma the innocent girl Ifat Khan endured from a noticeably young age. When viewed from that perspective, Rani convinced Aphrodite that she was entitled to every single rupee or rial that had been left unclaimed. With her sense of justice working overtime, she advised Aphrodite to demand monetary compensation from the estate of the late Mahmud Khan. Rani appointed a lawyer to represent her daughter's interests, and a lawsuit is lodged in the local high court against the evil kidnapper, detainer, and rapist of the innocent girl Ifat Khan. They demanded that his wife must pay huge compensation to his victim. Moreover, she wants her to pay not less than 15 crores of rupees to the Iranian heroine for acting as the leading actress in his latest hit movie. The evil man had made his victim play a heroine in his successful movie and paid her 0 rupees. When that is done, Rani, always the prudent one, took Aphrodite to Zurich City in Switzerland to have her open a new account and transfer her 503 crores of rupees, or 72 million US dollars, from the Abu Dhabi International Bank to an international Swiss bank. Rani's concern is that the Sharia court in Jeddah City might ultimately succeed in pressuring the Arab bank or get the decision overturned. With the many wives, sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters of the late Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed hungering for a piece of his or her inheritance, this possibility is very real. She learned from Aphrodite how one of the Saudi wives had evilly treated her mother and made her work as a female slave in her huge house. Moreover, when she was brought back from Asmara, none of the family members of the old man tried to intervene and save her from him, at a time when she was merely 11 years old and pregnant with a child. Aphrodite also told Rani how her mother was sent to jail and stoned to death because the old man and his wife had reported her to the police and accused her of being a dirty Indian whore who married 3 husbands at the same time. For the first time in her life, Aphrodite Khan enjoyed true freedom. Traveling with her godmother and guardian angel, Rani Krishna, to Zurich gave her the security and the openness to see beauty in almost everything. She began to love life for the first time. They stayed at the most beautiful hotel in the European city and enjoyed every single minute of their stay there. Rani took her on a tour of the city since Aphrodite was starting to get curious about the world and other cities in Europe. She had heard many different names of European cities in the Indian movies she used to watch while she was in Iran and India. With finances no longer an issue, she asked Rani to take her to New York, Paris, New Delhi, London, and Tokyo. Her loving mother Rani explained that New York and Tokyo are not in Europe. With an understanding smile only a mother can give a child, she corrected her daughter and told her that New Delhi is the capital city of India. Finding it hard to deny her, she agreed to take her to London and Paris and promised in the future she would take her to visit New York in the United States of America and Tokyo in Japan. After 5 wonderful days in Zurich, Rani and Aphrodite flew to London. They went on a tour around the city of London and saw many wonderful tourist attractions. After spending 10 days in the capital of Western civilization, they flew to the city of the French Revolution, Paris. While they were in the beautiful capital of France, they went on a sightseeing tour and visited many places of interest, including the Eiffel Tower. Aphrodite felt as if she was born again. She is like a bird set free from its gilded cage and allowed to fly for the first time among the clouds, trees, and colorful flowers and roses. She felt as if her broken wings had been mended and she was allowed to fly wherever she wanted to soar. She enjoyed the food she ate, the beautiful places she visited, and the wonderful time she spent in the dancing halls. Her gorgeous beauty attracted people wherever she went. She always became the center of attention whenever she stepped inside a restaurant, a public park, a dancing club, or a tourist attraction. While they are visiting London and Paris, the Indian female director Rani takes the lovely Iranian heroine Aphrodite to clothes boutiques and buys her expensive and beautiful dresses, shoes, and perfumes. Rani is preparing Aphrodite for her new movie. She is making her fit the part of a movie female star. She has already decided to produce and direct a new movie for her little Iranian heroine. The movie would mirror the tragic life story of the little Indian slum girl, Ifat Khan. She decided to call it The Female Child Bride and the Old Man. Rani discussed her proposal with Aphrodite and got her consent and approval before she started to proceed with the details. She told her that she would be the main character in her new movie. Since the female director, the star and main actress and real life are on an extended holiday within the backdrop of marvelous European cities, Rani began writing the script. She made Aphrodite retell her life story from the time she flew with her mother from Mumbai until she returned to India with the Afghani terrorist. Every day, whenever they have free time, Rani asks Aphrodite to tell her part of her sad and heartbreaking story. For Rani, it is a period of intimacy, empathy, and discovery. For Aphrodite, it is a time of reflection and therapy to blossom and put it all behind. To stay as true to real life as possible, the Bollywood female director Rani has intended to go to Eritrea and visit the house where the Saudi old geezer began abusing Ifat when she was a child of 7, through the thawing of female children and rape of a minor girl. At first, the girl Aphrodite is not the least bit interested in going to that accursed house of terror. She told Rani that she just wanted to spend the rest of her life flying from city to city and country to country enjoying herself. Rani knows Aphrodite has enough money to keep her soaring in the air and indulging herself in every kind of enjoying every moment for the rest of her life. Howbeit, she wisely convinced her that life is not all about unmitigated enjoyment and unrestrained pleasure. As human beings, we have duties towards our fellow human beings, males and females. We should use our personal bitter experiences to prevent others from falling victim to the same tragedies. She told her about the examples of altruistic souls who changed the world with their sacrifices. She narrated to her the famous life stories and teachings of the Greek philosopher Socrates, the Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord Buddha, the Hindu god Krishna, and the modern example of the father of the Indian nation Mahatma Gandhi. Those great souls and many others had changed the world through their sacrifices. The Hindu godmother Rani also reasoned that exposing evil people and their deeds prevents those deeds from befalling other people. She reminded her of Mahmud Khan's reaction when he was confronted with his sheer evil deeds. Since he committed suicide, there would never be another young Indian girl for him to use as a sex victim. The public would be more aware of situations like this, and those who might be inclined to do the same would be delivered a strong message. Rani related her personal experience to Aphrodite. She reminded her that, if she had not stepped in and helped her when she was abandoned by all, she might have ended up as a prostitute on the streets of Mumbai or Tehran, or killed herself, or got kidnapped, gang-raped, and killed by some evil men in Mumbai or some wicked Indian cops. This last bit of logic touched Aphrodite, and she started to believe that people can help make things better for others if they only help each other. Everyone can do something to help. In her case, without her guardian and mentor, her Sikh teacher Mr. Vijay Singh, Aphrodite is dead sure that her life would have continued to be full of misery and suffering until today in the mansion of terror and abuse of Mahmud Khan. Moreover, if her Hindu godmother and female Good Samaritan Rani Krishna had not bailed her twice out of jail and kept her in her house, Aphrodite would have been taken directly from prison to the international airport and deported to Iran, where she had no one to receive her upon her arrival in the Tehran International Airport and who is going to take care of her. She would become a homeless girl. She does not know how to return to the House of Terror where she got imprisoned and raped by the old Arab monster for 7 years. As the evil Indian sadist Mahmud Khan had predicted to her, she would become a prostitute in the streets of Tehran and get stoned to death by the order of a judge of the Islamic Sharia court. She never would have known how to shape her life and erase the memories of abuse and suffering. Rani's simple example touched her deeply, and she had a change of heart and mind which led her to pledge to do whatever she could to expose evil and help her fellow human beings, especially the female children and other abused Muslim women. Flashbacks of her miserable family conditions in the slum of Dharavi only made her more determined to walk down a new path with her savior. She then told Rani that upon their return to India, she intended to build a big building to house all the poor children of Mumbai. She even gave the building a name, the Mahatma Gandhi Children's Shelter. Rani liked the idea, but in her heart, she knew that it would be next to impossible to accommodate all the millions of homeless and orphaned children of Mumbai in one building, no matter how big it might be. Nevertheless, she praised Aphrodite and encouraged her to go ahead and continue thinking along those lines. From Paris, the two Indian girlfriends Rani and Aphrodite flew to the capital of Eritrea. When they arrived there, Rani was shocked when she saw the beauty of the African city. Before landing in Asmara, she used to think that Africa was a very backward place. Whenever she saw a documentary about an African country, she always saw people living in dirty huts and dressed up like savages. It made sense to her that many Africans still live in dirty houses made out of grass or broken, discarded boxes and bushes and trees like animals. Viewing the tall buildings and the beauty of Asmara erased that perception, yet her misconception is quite a common one in the countries of the Indian subcontinent. Many Indian professors, politicians, and others think that Africans live in the bush, in grass and mud houses. These misleading notions are often reinforced by the propensity of the Western media, which publish an inordinate number of documentaries that highlight life outside the African cities. They purposely avoid showing beautiful African cities such as Nairobi in Kenya, Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, Khartoum in Sudan, Accra in Ghana, Luanda in Angola, Port Louis in Mauritius, Gaborone in Botswana, Kampala in Uganda, Zanzibar in Tanzania, Lagos in Nigeria, Freetown in Sierra Leone, Timbuktu in Mali, Abidjan in Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire, Johannesburg, and Cape Town in South Africa, among other cities. Surprisingly, sometimes, those Western documentaries show beautiful tourist Arab cities such as Cairo and Alexandria in Egypt, Agadir and Casablanca in Morocco, Tunis and Carthage in Tunisia, Algiers and Constantine in Algeria, and Tripoli and Benghazi in Libya, but they consider them not to be African cities, even though they are in the African continent. Some of them do not count Ethiopia and South Africa as part of Africa. For them, the African people have to be backward savages and as black as coals who are the descendants of the Africans who got stolen from Africa and shipped as slaves to the New World in the two Americas and their islands. It took Rani and Aphrodite 1 week to locate the house where the small Indian slum girl, Ifat Khan, got married to a 70-year-old Arab man when she was a child of 7, imprisoned in his mansion, and was raped by him for 3 years. It was through a real estate agency that they were able to find the first Palace of Terror. When they reached the place, they found an Arab man and a 9-year-old Eritrean girl living as husband and wife in the house. When they talked to them, the Arab man claimed to be the owner of the property. He said that he inherited the home from his deceased father Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed. Further inquiry revealed that he is indeed one of the many sons of the late Saudi husband Sheikh Faiz Shaitan Ahmed. Without arguing with him, the wise Indian woman Rani took Aphrodite to the Asmara police and lodged a complaint of trespass against the tenants. The police informed them that only the court could issue an order for the unlawful tenants to vacate the house. Under advisement from the real estate agency that had helped them locate the house, they sold the house and let the new owners handle the issue of its illegal occupants. The real estate agent charged a 25% commission for the sale of the house, which fetched $250,000. Before leaving Eritrea, Rani made it a point to take many pictures of the house to base her movie set on. From Asmara, Rani Krishna and Aphrodite Khan flew directly to Tehran. This is another city that rattled Aphrodite. Trusting Rani to keep her safe, they landed in Tehran, where she had spent 7 years being denied her childhood and freedom. Rani felt as if she had somehow landed in the 7th century. Females as young as 5 years old and above, and every woman else, are covered from head to foot in black Islamic clothes that make them appear like scary ghosts. Every woman is putting on a black burqa. It has surprised Ronnie at the degree of freedom allowed the men as compared to the women. Men are wearing whatever they like. Some men are wearing typical Iranian-styled wear, while many more young men are clad in t-shirts and jeans or Western-cut suits. Some sported long beards while others were clean-shaven. At the Tehran International Airport, the newly arrived Indian women Ronnie and Aphrodite, intending to blend in, purchased loose clothes and scarves. Once again, they were able to find the house through a real estate agency. The second palace of terror in Tehran is not occupied, and Ifrit Khan got police permission to break open the lock of her house. When they entered, they found the house just as Ifrit Khan and the Afghani terrorist guard had left it 2 years ago. Nothing is missing. Ronnie employed some Iranian women to clean up the house and men to clean the grounds. After staying 3 days in a hotel, Rani Krishna requested Aphrodite to move with her to the beautiful, huge mansion. Howbeit, the abused girl Aphrodite Khan strongly objected, weeping and in tears, that she does not spend a single day in that accursed palace of terror where she was imprisoned, beaten up, and raped for 7 years. Ronnie understood and decided not to pressure her anymore, for it is a reminder of a very distressing time. Ronnie also told her not to sell the house, as they would need the house for the movie. Nonetheless, the Iranian heroine Aphrodite insisted on getting rid of that ghost house and suggested further, instead of selling that accursed mansion of terror, they should burn it down and destroy it forever, but her godmother Ronnie disagreed with Ifrit. Before they flew back to Mumbai, the female film director Ronnie took hundreds of pictures of the beautiful, huge house from within and without. Then, through a real estate agency, the house has been sold for $5 million. After spending 2 weeks in Tehran, the two girlfriends Ronnie and Aphrodite flew back to India. They have spent 2 months overseas and are now returning to their motherland. Chapter 23. The biggest banquet party in Bollywood. When they returned to Mumbai, the female Indian film director Rani Krishna launched the preparations needed to kick off her new movie The Female Child Bride and the Old Man. It is during this hectic time that Aphrodite Khan surprised her godmother by asking her to be her real mother. Rani explained that she is already like her mother, sister, and best big girlfriend. Aphrodite is quietly insistent, and when Rani sees the sincerity in her eyes, her defenses start to crumble. Rani Krishna harbored the same idea but never spoke of it because she did not want the Iranian girl to think that she was interested in her money. With such a heartfelt plea from the girl who is now the apple of her eye, Rani relented and accepted. She explained to Aphrodite that if she wanted her to be her real mother, then she should allow her to adopt her as her daughter. Aphrodite is quick to welcome the suggestion. Before her loving mother, Rani explained the concept of adoption. Aphrodite had never heard of it before. Even if she knew about it, her Islamic religion forbids adoption, whatever may be the good aim of it. Aphrodite is an irreligious girl and knows nothing about what halal and haram in Islam are. Shortly after their return from abroad, Rani Krishna adopted Aphrodite Khan as her legal daughter. Then the adopted daughter decided to change her name officially from Ifrit Khan to Aphrodite Khan. Rani does not like the idea of her changing her name because she is worried it might create some legal problems in the future concerning her inherited properties in Saudi Arabia. Aphrodite insisted on changing her name because her old name always reminded her of her bitter experience at the hands of her deceased Saudi husband. Aphrodite hid from Rani the real reason she wanted to change her name. She hates her real name because it always reminds her of her mother Rayhana Khan. She abhorred her old name because, from an early age, she was made to believe that her biological mother had done something very bad, which led the Islamic court in Jeddah to stone her to death. The old evil man had made her believe that her mother was a prostitute and had slept with 3 men in less than 20 days, and she also stole their money and ran away from them. Consequently, Aphrodite grew up with the belief that her mother used to work as a prostitute in Jeddah. She knows that it was her mother who took her from India to Saudi Arabia, where she fell victim to the hands of the ruthless and evil old man. Due to her assumed repulsive crimes, her biological mother went to jail and left her in the hands of the monstrous old man who raped and tortured her for many years. Aphrodite also blames her mother for forsaking her grandmother and 5 brothers and traveling overseas, leaving them without money or anyone to support them. She still remembered that she used to live in a hut in a slum area in Bombay with her mother, grandparents, and 5 brothers. She knows that she is the eldest in her family. She also remembered how her father had killed himself. She concluded that her brothers either starved to death or ran away from their hut and became beggars in the streets of Mumbai or were recruited by the Mumbai underworld mafia into gangsters. For that reason, she decided to disassociate herself from her deceased mother. The name Ifat in her memory is associated with misery and abuse. For her, Ifat Khan is the girl who was buried inside a black burqa and abused for many years. Although the name Aphrodite Khan was created by her second Indian captor, still she loves it because it freed her from her ugly Islamic cocoon, revealed her beauty and charm to the outside world, and made her one of the Bollywood celebrities. After changing her name officially at the statistics department from Ifat to Aphrodite, Rani Krishna started proceedings in the court and adopted her legally as her daughter. Therefore, the new lawful name of the Iranian heroine became Aphrodite Krishna Khan. It is the second strange configuration of a name in Bollywood after the late hero Samir Krishna Khan, who was her first lover and the son of her loving Hindu godmother Rani Krishna. After changing her name and adopting her legally as her daughter, Rani decided to throw a big banquet party and invite all the film stars, actresses, directors, producers, and other VIPs in Mumbai. Of course, the first person included in the invitation list is the manager of the Abu Dhabi International Bank, who dug out the hidden treasure of Aphrodite Khan and handed it over to her on a silver platter. For the party, the female director Rani booked the biggest dining and dancing hall in Mumbai. That meant only one place, the 5-star hotel, Leela Palace. As expected, the cream of Mumbai society has been invited. Even top officials representing the government of Maharashtra received invitation cards. Rani Krishna invited practically everyone she knew. The main reason for the party is to announce the completion of the script of an especially important movie based on the true life story of a 7-year-old Indian slum girl. The movie will be directed by Rani Krishna and the lead actress is held by the Iranian heroine, Aphrodite Khan. The party is a new experience for Aphrodite. She has never before been among such a huge gathering of Indians from the upper crust of society. She could not believe that in India there were people like she saw at the party. They surpassed the opulence of the guests at the 5-star hotels in Zurich, London, and Paris. The young women of Bollywood appeared to her in their expensive dresses and ornaments as if they were angelic creatures descended from heaven, and the men looked like sublime beings from another planet. She could not believe those beautiful people were Indians living in the filthy and polluted cosmopolitan city of Mumbai. If any one of the guests had told her that he or she lives on the moon and sometimes descended to Earth to act in Bollywood films, she would have swallowed the story hook, line, and sinker. If any of those angelic women have confessed to being a virgin of paradise and that she does not defecate, urinate, or menstruate like other female earthlings, Aphrodite would have believed that too. Every other girl looked more beautiful and delicate than the previous. Aphrodite also could not believe that the women she sees in the streets every day in Mumbai are Indians. She saw them with their backs bent, pouring asphalt on the roads, constructing tall buildings with heavy buckets of cement tottering on their heads, balanced atop rickety scaffolds with suckling babies strapped to their backs. They are Indians too. They help to build beautiful tall buildings, and they live in huts created out of discarded packing boxes collected from the garbage containers. In her visits overseas, Aphrodite had never seen such a huge social gap between the haves and the have-nots. She asked herself if the untouchable women from the slums of Mumbai and the unreachable women of Bollywood knew or saw each other. She doubted it. She remembered that when she was a child of 7 and used to live in what amounted to a pig pen, she had never known or seen those fine Indian ladies, even in the movie theaters. At that time, her mother was working as a slave to provide for her 6 children and 4 parents simple meals of lentils and rice. In those days, her mother could not afford to take them to the hospital if they fell sick, much less buy toys, or take them to the movie theater. As a child, she had never even heard of movie theaters or Bollywood. The contrast between the Indians of Bollywood and the Indians of the slums has reminded Aphrodite Khan of her noble dream to build a huge building and provide shelter for the thousands of homeless children on the streets of Mumbai. There are many extraordinary things noticed by Aphrodite during the great banquet apart from the apparent contrast in the two societies she connected with. She noticed that she is avoided and ignored by many of the guests. Most of the guests like to talk to Rani, but not to her. Rani told her that it was because she was new and not yet well known among Bollywood circles. Albeit, the rich woman Rani knows the reason but decides to keep it from Aphrodite. Firstly, Rani understood that most of the Bollywood people know that Aphrodite is a slum girl and hence treat her as an untouchable. Many of them believe that it is below their dignity to associate or talk to a girl who was born and brought up in a slum area. Secondly, Rani heard some gossip that Aphrodite is considered to be a paid prostitute who used her beauty to make money while she was in jail. Being a high-profile prostitute made some of them believe that her disgraceful acts in prison brought great shame and disrepute to the institution of Bollywood. The other reason, one that even Rani failed to realize, is that most of the film actresses and superstars of Bollywood are simply envious of her daughter's unmatched remarkable beauty. That day, Aphrodite appeared in her expensive, European dress like an angelic being shining like the sun and twinkling like the stars. The only one who praised her beauty is the manager of the Abu Dhabi International Bank who discovered her mine of $72 million and handed it to her on a silver plate with gold trimmings. During the grand gala, none of the actors asked her for a dance and she remained seated as if she was an unwanted guest at the party thrown in her honor. After the guests went through a sumptuous banquet, her godmother Rani Krishna brought her newly adopted daughter Aphrodite Khan to center stage and officially announced her adoption. She also went on to say that she has finished the script of her upcoming movie and will begin shooting shortly. Rani capped her speech by announcing that the lovely Iranian heroine Aphrodite Khan is going to act out her own life story in the movie, which would be called The Child Bride and the Old Man. Out of formality and courtesy, the guests clapped their hands after every announcement. However, in their minds, all of them concluded that the movie was going to be a big flop for many reasons. Firstly, the directors of Bollywood have long ago stopped making sad movies based on the miserable lives of Indians in the slums and chawls, and opted for happier, more cheerful movies based on successful Indians, or Indians who left India and immigrated to Western countries or petrodollar Gulf states, and became rich making great fortunes. Therefore, most of the recent movies out of Bollywood were shot in the USA, Canada, Australia, or European cities. According to the new philosophy of Bollywood, poor Indians do not like to go to movie theaters to see sad stories, which remind them of their stark misery, poverty, and blatant failure in life. Indians love to watch movies as though it is their last meal. A fantasy-filled fairy tale full of beautiful people, vanquishing the ugly and the wicked, concluding in happy endings is preferred, replete with musicals. Secondly, the muted applause of the party guests is because the Iranian heroine is stinking with shame from being a dirty Bollywood waif in jail, making her a very unlikely candidate for a leading role. Thirdly, the Indian youth do not like a heroine whatever her beauty who had been used as a wife and a prostitute by many men from childhood. Indian people like their heroines of Bollywood to be virgins and unmarried. Many Indian heroines lost half of their young fans as soon as they got married. Aphrodite Khan was married when she was 7 years old and remained under the control of sexual predators until very recently. Fourth, Rani Krishna is known for several unpopular and unsuccessful movies. She did not pay her actors well, and she could not attract the right kind of talent required for a bona fide Indian blockbuster. Fifth, no financier worth his salt is going to risk his money financing a movie directed by a second-rate movie female director. None of the guests of the party except the Arab manager of the Abu Dhabi International Bank knows that Aphrodite has inherited over $150 million American dollars from her late Saudi husband. Taking all these factors into consideration, the Bollywood guests concluded that the movie of the small Indian female director Rani Krishna and her outcast heroine Aphrodite Khan is going to go belly up and flop, and its projected revenue might not even cover the cost of its production. Chapter 24. She must compete in the beauty contest. The only guest who praised the unmatchable beauty of Aphrodite Khan and spoke well of her is the manager of the Abu Dhabi International Bank. As soon as he came in, he shook her hand and exclaimed, "You are the most beautiful girl I have ever seen in my life." When Rani Krishna announced that she had adopted Aphrodite Khan as her daughter and she is going to be the leading heroine in her upcoming movie, he approached them and enthusiastically suggested that the young woman Aphrodite Khan must enter the Miss World Beauty Contest. He said with full confidence, "She must compete in the beauty contest. I am quite certain she will win." Her Hindu mother Rani Krishna thanked him and dismissed his suggestion as wishful thinking coming from a man who liked to say good things to make people feel happy. So, she has not taken his advice seriously. She knows that for an Indian girl to enter the Miss World contest, she has to first win the smaller regional competitions in the city. Aphrodite will then have to win the Miss Mumbai contest. Following that, she has to go head-to-head with the female winners of the beauty contests of over 300 main cities in India. Then, and only then, Aphrodite can step out of the boundary of her country to compete with the hundreds of female winners of beauty contests from all over the world. The Miss World must not only be an exceedingly beautiful damsel and possess an outstanding sexy, fabulous body, but she has to be smart and know a great deal about the outside world and world politics and have as a platform a noble cause. It is not only difficult but an unattainable goal for a girl like Aphrodite who was born in a slum and lived most of her life in misery and abuse without the benefit of schooling. In addition to all these obstacles, Rani is interested in making the movie of Ifat Khan and her life, hence Aphrodite involving herself in a cutthroat beauty contest for months on end will delay its production indefinitely. Nevertheless, the idea stuck in Aphrodite's mind and she began to seriously consider competing. From the time she heard the suggestion from the bank manager, she started to nag and harass her mother about it. Aphrodite is like a small female child when she sees a beautiful doll, will not stop crying over it until her mother buys it for her. Her Hindu mother tried to convince her that it would be impossible for her to become Miss World. She gave her hundreds of reasons that may stand in her way of achieving such a competitive title. Whatever her loving mom has told her, she could not turn her daughter away from the idea or change her mind. Her mind became obsessed and fascinated with the idea the bank manager had planted in her head. Therefore, Rani regrets inviting the crazy Arab man to the banquet party. When Aphrodite refused to forgo her ambitions, her mother tried to convince her that her movie is going to produce a nobler message to the world than being Miss World. Aphrodite became very adamant and insisted that the production of the movie should be postponed until she competed in Miss World. When nothing she said could change her mind, her mother reluctantly backed down and promised to register her in the Miss Mumbai beauty contest. But then she explained to her that if she failed to win the Miss Mumbai title, then she could not be allowed to go any further in the competition, and that would be the end of that chapter. Aphrodite told her mother that the bank manager said she was the most beautiful girl in the world, and that she must try out for Miss World. For that reason, she tried to assure her mother that she would win Miss Mumbai and Miss India and reach her final goal and become the Queen of Beauty all over the world. In Bollywood, people believe that winning Miss Mumbai will be more difficult than winning Miss India. Moreover, some go further and simply state that winning Miss Mumbai means automatically becoming Miss India, as if there are no beautiful girls in all other cities of India. Of course, such a belief does not always ring untrue. It is grounded in the pride and arrogance of Bollywood film stars and producers who somehow think that Mumbai is not a part of India, but a separate entity and a city of the Western world. Some Indians say if a foreigner sees Bombay, he should not say I have visited India. This belief is based on the fact that Bombay reflects a Western culture rather than the rich heritage of the multicultural country. In any case, with her daughters will set in concrete, Rani agreed to allow her most treasured and adorable girl and future great heroine to join the contest for Miss Mumbai. The beauty contests of Mumbai are conducted much like the American Idol series. The only difference is that in the Indian beauty contest, the contenders have to pay fees to cover their expenses incurred staying at the 5-star hotels holding the pageants. Poor girls are out of the question because their social and financial conditions exempt them. Beautiful poor girls, if present, can only compete among themselves to win a middle-class husband or a foreign Indian life partner who is known as an NRI, which means a rich Indian guy who is living in a Western city or working in a rich Arab country. It is part of the Indian people's psyche not to associate beauty and poverty. In Ifit's case, divine providence has elevated her from her slum girl roots to the Aphrodite of Bollywood. She, therefore, became qualified to try her luck. Like a presidential candidate running for the U.S. presidency, the beauty contest usually begins at the caucus level. Girls of the same high school compete among themselves first. Bollywood's newest female beauties also compete together. Sometimes, girls of one club or the same locality may compete against each other. Therefore, if a girl is confident in herself, she will be allowed to compete in the final competition directly. She just needs to fill out the necessary forms and pay an exorbitant fee. The normal mode, however, for most of the female contestants is by way of the caucus method. This system absorbed the cost of the forms and hotel fees because each group made a substantial amount of money organizing the competitions. People are happy to contribute just to be able to gawk and ogle at a gathering of young, nubile, naked women on stage, under the guise of competition. Finally, the girls would have to appear before a qualified judicial committee, and here the competition would simply become ruthless. Out of hundreds of young, very pretty girls, the committee has to pick out only one extraordinary, beautiful girl. The selection will not be done in one single day. Over 3 days, half of the 400 or so female contestants would be ejected. The remaining 200 would be pared down to 100 girls and so on. Every night, there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth at the ITC Maratha Hotel. Those disqualified girls might feel as if their lives had come to an end. Therefore, the presence of parents and friends to lend emotional support is particularly important. Suicides are not an uncommon phenomenon among female losers. Eventually, the 400 female contestants would be shaved down to a mere 25 beautiful female competitors. From day one, Rani expected that her little girl would be sent home with a one-way ticket. Imagine her surprise when the slum girl made it to the 25 finalists. With the selection of the 25 female hopefuls, the committee announced a one-week break. There are many reasons for the interruption in festivities. The most important is that the media would make a lot of money during that week, and the committee would get its share in every newspaper, magazine, and TV channel covering the important event. Besides that, the committee would raise huge amounts of money from SMS messages. Every girl, among the lucky 25 female contestants, would be assigned a number. Every person is required to send an SMS message and predict the outcome of the Miss Mumbai pageant. The underworld mafia of Mumbai, who is called Gonda, runs illegal gambling groups, and the winner gets at least 5 crores of rupees or 50 million rupees. Each gambler has to pay 1,000 rupees. Sometimes, if the group reaches 10 million gamblers, then the winner may get 5 crores. 1,000 times 10 million is equal to 10 billion Indian rupees. The Gondas give the winner 50 million rupees and keep for themselves 9 billion and 950 million Indian rupees. For an Indian girl to even be able to enter the Miss Mumbai contest is a considerable honor. With those beauty contest credentials, she can enter Bollywood or become a model and make a lot of money. What is more, a girl can get a genuinely nice bridegroom because once upon a time, she was a Miss Mumbai participant, or she could get a visa to go abroad on the same grounds. In some cases, the girl might utilize her participation in Miss Mumbai in an unscrupulous way. It happened that once an Indian girl was caught in a 5-star hotel room with a wealthy Arab man. The Arab guy had paid her 50 million rupees for spending one night with him because she competed as Miss Bombay. There was a time when the city was called Bombay. The highest paid beautiful Indian prostitute or a Nepalese sexy hooker in Colaba or Ferris Road might not get more than 15,000 rupees, which is equivalent to a little over $200 for sleeping with a rich Arab guy in his hotel room. During the one-week break, the hottest topic in the media is the slum girl among the 25 finalists. She is a record of sorts because it has never happened before, nor is it likely to ever happen again. It is inconceivable that a slum girl has dared to come out of her dog hut and challenge the high castes and rich girls of Mumbai, and even defy the beautiful girls of Bollywood. Miss Mumbai is always won by a girl of the higher caste societies. A slum girl winning Miss Mumbai would be like the moment Barack Hussein Obama was announced as the first black U.S. president. Some journalists and critics said that if the slummier types tried their hand at the title of Miss Mumbai, they should be accorded more honor than Barack Hussein Obama, who is portrayed as a black American. According to them, he is half white through his American mother and half black due to his Kenyan father, and also half Christian and half Muslim. That rare combination probably helped Barack Hussein Obama win the presidential election in the USA. The Mumbai slum girl Ifat Khan, on the other hand, is a 100% slum dweller, born to slum parents, from the same religious background of Islam. This scything observation might be lost to our Western readers, but in Ifat's case, her Muslim parents belong to the untouchable or low caste of Muslim Arzals who are forbidden to enter a mosque or touch the Holy Quran. By the way, according to Dr. Ambedkar, the father of the Indian Constitution, Muslims in India have a caste system, which is worse than that of the Hindus. They have divided themselves into ashrafs, nobles who claim to be direct descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, ajlafs, uncivilized or uncultured, and arzals, low caste or untouchables. Accordingly, if the slum girl won the beauty contest, she would make 3 records. 1. The first slum girl to be crowned Miss Mumbai. 2. The first Muslim girl to win the contest in Mumbai. And 3. The first low-caste Muslim girl to get that honorable title. The former Muslim girl who became Miss Asia, Zeenat Aman, came in at number 3 in the Miss Mumbai beauty pageant. So far, no Muslim girl has ever won Miss Mumbai or Miss India. As it is expected, some disgruntled Muslim clerics threatened to issue fatwas condemning the so-called female imposter, Aphrodite Krishna Khan. They said that she was a liar and an abomination. According to them, how can a Muslim girl have her first name Christian name, her middle name a Hindu, and her last name a Muslim? For them, no good Muslim family would ever do such an abominable thing as to give their female child the name of a Greek goddess, a Hindu god with a Muslim name. For that reason, they concluded that she is either a Christian or a Hindu. They thought that she pretended to be a Muslim girl to marry a wealthy Saudi and receive a huge dowry in marriage and inheritance. Therefore, all the religious mullahs and imams urged Muslims all over Mumbai not to stand with her or support her with their SMS votes. Officially, that should have been the end of it for Aphrodite Krishna Khan, but the Muslim boys and girls did not see it that way. They wish and want Aphrodite Khan to win the beauty contest and be the first Muslim girl crowned Miss Mumbai, and also hope and pray to their exalted Allah and gracious Prophet Muhammad to make her Miss India and the Miss Universe. For that reason, they decided collectively to support her. Chapter 25. Choosing Miss Mumbai. On the final day, only the extraordinarily rich families, top government officials, and the Bollywood film stars were able to purchase the costly tickets to attend the final contest. Those who could not afford to buy the tickets to enter through the wicket gate of paradise and view the live pageant of the lovely half-naked virgins are expected to watch the competition on their televisions. 2 former Miss Universe and 2 Miss World have been added to be judging panel. This addition has raised public concern because all 4 girls are Hindu women. The original lineup of the female judges is an even combination of Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and Christians. Adding 4 more Hindu female judges at such a critical time might create a lack of equilibrium. Besides, many critics argued that a woman, despite being a former Miss World or Miss Universe, is simply not qualified to judge beauty in others. Nevertheless, the committee refused to remove the 4 new female judges. The contestant pool comprised 20 Hindu girls, 2 Christian girls, a Sikh girl, a Parsi girl, and of course a Muslim girl called Aphrodite Krishna Khan. The 25 girls are supposed to walk onto the stage one after another in their swimsuits. Every judge is required to rank each girl according to a scale from 1 to 10. The higher the number, the better. This first round will eliminate all but leave 5 girls. Then, each girl should be judged based on her beauty, figure, and intelligence. The intelligence test consists of an interview question to be asked by one of the female judges. The same female judge must ask each girl a question that should be chosen at random. Anyway, when the first round was over, the highest marks went to the Parsi girl, followed by the Christian girl. Next to her came the Muslim girl, after that the Sikh girl, and last the Hindu girl. So, the 5 girls chosen according to their rank, beginning from the highest to the lowest, are a Parsi, a Christian, a Muslim, a Sikh, and a Hindu. People of Mumbai were shocked when it appeared that the 5 female finalists had different religious faiths. The government of Maharashtra placed huge screen TVs in each chawl area and each slum area. The poor and the lower than the poorest of the poor who could not afford to watch the contest in their houses due to lack of electricity, and those who do not have TVs have been encouraged to go to the public parks and open areas and watch it on the government-sponsored TV screens. When the slum girl, Aphrodite Krishna Khan, made it as a finalist girl, spirited shouting and clapping erupted in all the areas designated for watching. The Parsi girl is the winner as far as the spectators are concerned. She is going to get the crown for sure. Whispers abounded about how the Parsi girl is as lovely as a China doll and as beautiful as an angel. She has foreign green eyes. Her skin is white like a Disney princess in a fairy tale. She has exceptionally long blonde hair. She has all the criteria a beauty queen could ever possess in all of Hollywood and Bollywood combined. She has an extremely beautiful face and a lithesome body. A former Miss World, Bollywood heroine, and also celebrity superstar by the name of Aishwarya Rai, giving her a rank and grade of perfect 10, asked her, "Were you created by God or did you create yourself?" In the face of such distinguished praise from one of her female judges, everybody said that she is going to win it that night. At any rate, the rich Indian woman Rani Krishna is well pleased with the level and success that her slum-born daughter has achieved. She said to herself even if they would give her a mark of 5, she would greatly rejoice at what she has been able to accomplish with all the odds. She has never expected her daughter to make it to the final 5 among the most beautiful girls in Mumbai. Such an achievement for sure will make her upcoming movie much more welcomed by the public. Howbeit, when the 5 girls were carefully screened and scrutinized in the last round, the marks changed. The lovely Parsi girl still held the highest marks in terms of her face and figure. The new order according to the measurement of the face and the figure is changed to the Parsi, the Muslim, the Hindu, the Sikh, and the Christian girl. The first 2 finalists are separated by 2 marks only. Therefore, for the Muslim girl to win, she has to score a higher score on the intelligence test. No one knows that Aphrodite Khan had never been to school in all her life except for her Hindu godmother Rani Krishna. Understandably, Rani has expected that her uneducated daughter is not going to make it through the last round. Oh! But to have come this far. How she shouted and jumped when the former results have been announced. She praised her daughter for taking 2nd place in the last round, scoring high in physical beauty and appearance. The poor and the poorest of the poor from the chawl houses, the slum huts, and the railway shacks have already celebrated the victory of the once upon a time like them a slum girl. They decided not to bother about the question and answer session testing intelligence because none of them understood what it was all about. The interview is moderated and scored by a group of 3 female judges. Each female judge would rate the answer given on a scale from 1 to 5. Then, the cumulative marks out of a possible 15 will then be added to the marks scored in the previous rounds. The total would then determine the next and latest Miss Mumbai. The 5 girls have been allowed to come and listen to the questions and the answers. The first girl, randomly chosen, is the Christian girl. Her question has also been randomly chosen. It has to do with modern Indian history. She gave her answer, and in the last round 3 female judges jotted down her name and her marks. The next name is the Parsi girl. She is asked what she would do to make a difference in the world if she became Miss World. She said that she would strive hard to stop people from killing each other and ask all the governments of other countries to eliminate all the terrorist groups of the world. The 3 final round female judges entered their marks. The third girl is the Sikh girl. She has been asked a question about world geography. She gave her answer too. The fourth girl happened to be the Hindu damsel. She is asked what she would do if she became Miss World to improve the status of women in the world. She said that she would call for equal treatment and equal opportunity for females all over the world. The last girl who does not need to be picked at random is the Muslim girl Aphrodite Krishna Khan. The only question left would be hers. The female judge asked her, "What would you do for the poor children living in the streets and the slums of Mumbai if you happened to be Miss World?" The judges, audience, and everyone else have become exceedingly shocked and also mad at the same time. Many people felt that the judging committee had deliberately insulted the slum girl by reminding her of her past miserable life. Oddly, the slum girl does not look a bit the least insulted. She looked excited and happy to hear her particular question. She faced her female judge with her head and chest held high. "I have already started to build the biggest building in Mumbai, and I am going to accommodate in it as many poor children of the slum areas as possible and from the streets of Mumbai. I am going to feed and educate them too. Lastly, I am going to name my building the Mahatma Gandhi Charity Shelter for orphan and homeless children." The female judges laughed when they heard her childish answer. One of the female judges told her boldly that by lying she may automatically get mark a 0 score from all 3 judges. The slum-born girl stood her ground and challenged the female judge who accused her of purposely lying. "I am serious. I am not lying and my mother will be able to vouch for me." She holds the papers to the building which is now under construction. "You need tens of crores of rupees to build such a huge building. I have more than 500 crores in my bank account. You are not yet 20 years old and you claim to have 500 crores. "Yes, I do." "Do you know that that amount you have falsely claimed to have in your bank account is equal to 50 billion Indian rupees, which is approximately about 72 million American dollars. "Yes, I know it and I have it in my possession." "Only in your dreams. I'm afraid you have a highly active imagination. Or have you drunk something like alcohol, or did you take drugs before you came here?" said the female judge sarcastically. "Why don't you believe me? I did not enter this competition for Miss Mumbai lightly. I consider this position and title a profoundly serious matter, and I would not say something I did not mean. I also dislike the way you are speaking down to me and accusing me of lying. Just because I was born and brought up in a slum does not mean we can't accomplish things in life or have money." The angry female judge ignored the slum girl and with a flourish picked up her pen. She is just about to give her a mark of 0 for lying. Before she could enter her score, she heard the voice of a man shouting in the audience. "Wait a minute please before you judge her adversely. She is not lying. I am the manager of the Abu Dhabi International Bank. I can testify that this young Indian girl Aphrodite Khan has over 500 crores of Indian rupees in our bank. I am ready to provide a bank balance statement if the committee would give me time to go to the bank and bring it right away." The audience and the judges have become astonished by what the Arab man has said. So, none of them believed a word from what he had spoken concerning the slum girl. They figured he is a supporter planted in the audience. Rani Krishna has chosen to stay silent all this time because she does not want to disclose her daughter's huge finances in public. India's government most probably will levy huge taxes against her given that they have some of the highest taxes in the world. However, when the bank manager came forward and tried to defend her daughter, her silence was challenged. Therefore, she stood up and shouted, "Yes, my daughter Aphrodite Krishna Khan has over 500 crores of rupees in her account. She has already started the construction of a big building, which is going to house more than 50,000 homeless children and their families in Mumbai. Here is a business card for the construction company that won the bid for making the 25-story building, and the project has already been approved by the government of Maharashtra. I have a copy of the official building permit right here. And I have a checkbook and bank book here with her name, Aphrodite Krishna Khan, and the account number if you need verification. She has over 500 crores in her account." As she spoke, she purposefully made her way to the stage. Rani Krishna thrust the building permit and bank papers on the table in front of the 3 female judges, and then she allowed the cameras to zoom in on the documents. The voice of the bank manager is heard again over the murmuring crowd. And what is more, the pretty young girl Aphrodite Khan has 3 huge mansions in Saudi Arabia, 1 villa in Eritrea, and 1 villa in Iran. She also has a 15-story building in her name in the city of Jeddah. Our bank also has official documents for her building currently valued at 55 million US dollars. In Indian currency, her building has a market value equal to 3,850 million Indian rupees. Guys, believe me, this Aphrodite Khan is the richest young Indian girl in all of your big country. A dead silence ensued. One could hear the drop of a pin when the bank manager spoke those last words. Her Hindu mother Rani lifted the official documents and bank books up high and challenged the female judges and any doubting person among the audience to view and verify them. If anyone still believes that my daughter is lying, let him come to me, and I will show him these official documents. The first one to overcome the shock of these testimonies is the female judge who made fun of the former slum girl. She stood on her feet and went to the slum girl, embraced her, and began to cry and ask her forgiveness for misjudging her. She then went back to her chair, took out her pen, jotted down her grade on the scorepad, and remained quiet. The other two female judges came slowly out of their shell-shocked facades, tried to comprehend the scale and the implication of what had just been shown to them, and meekly wrote down their marks too. By then, Rani has unobtrusively returned to her seat, and likewise the bank manager. Then, another female judge came and collected the results of the IQ test. When the results were announced, the low-caste Muslim slum girl obtained perfect marks of 15 out of 15. Then, the final result has been announced, beginning with the number 5 first. Number 5 is Annie D'Souza, the Christian girl. Number 4 is Simran Singh, the Sikh girl. Number 3 is Divya Rajkumar, the Hindu girl. The female announcer paused and stared for some time at the lovely Parsi girl who was born and brought up in the opulent area of Bandstand Bandra, and then she looked at the Muslim girl who was born in the slum of Dharavi in Mumbai. This is her moment, and as with all masters of ceremonies, she is going for maximum effect. The hearts of both girls began to beat fast. The audience held their breaths. The poor and the poorest of the poor stood on their feet. Everyone knows that the time is now or never, whether the history of India is going to change that day or it would never. If the slum girl has become the number 1 beautiful girl and fairest of all, the city of Mumbai and the entire Indian nation is going to change. The female master of ceremonies turned to the 2 remaining lovely female contestants. You 2 girls are unbelievably beautiful young ladies. It is doubly hard for the female judges to pick a female winner. If it is possible, we will have crowned you both Miss Mumbai this evening. Alas, that is not to be, and tonight, it is my honor to present the first runner-up, the lovely girl Miss Farinaz Palanji, the Parsi girl. She does not have to say anything more. At the stage and around India, the crowd erupted in chaotic applause. In the slum huts and chawl houses, the poor, the lower of the poor, and the destitute threw themselves and hugged each other and began to cry, laugh, murmur, and babble uncontrollably. The female winner of Miss Mumbai tonight is the beautiful girl Aphrodite Krishna Khan, shouted the female announcer to no one in particular. No one bothered to hear the obvious result, and the only pause in the roar of the cheering crowd is when last year's incumbent, Miss Mumbai, historically placed the crown on the head of the very first slum girl to win Miss Mumbai. On that historical night, the most beautiful girl in the pageant, Aphrodite Krishna Khan, made 4 records. She is the first slum girl to be crowned Miss Mumbai City and Maharashtra State. She is the first Muslim girl to win the beauty contest, and the first low-caste Muslim girl to win the honorable title. Finally, she is the first 19-year-old Indian girl with a bank balance of over 500 crores of rupees plus many mansions and a 15-floor-story building overseas in her possession. Even the daughter of the richest Indian man, Mukesh Ambani, did not have a bank balance of over 72 million American dollars when she was 19 years old. However, the big question that is in the mind of everyone is, how did the slum girl amass such unbelievable huge wealth? Rani Krishna stressed upon her daughter not to reveal to anyone the sources of her great fortune. She reminded her that 30 crores of her fortune is blackmail money. She also worried that the Indian government might conspire with the Saudi government and confiscate the money that she had inherited. Besides that, Rani told her daughter the Mumbai police might accuse her of arranging the murder of her Saudi husband in prison. She is unable to argue with her mother's logic. Miss Mumbai agrees to keep quiet. They both rehearse the scenario with responses along the lines of, "It is a private and confidential matter, and I will not discuss personal issues with anyone." Even without her confirmation, the media guessed that she had inherited the king's ransom from her late Saudi husband. Of the 4 groundbreaking records that Aphrodite Krishna Khan amassed that night, the media people had a field day reporting on her wealth and her humanitarian project for the poor of Mumbai. They reported on the construction of her building, the benefit of new housing for poor residents and their children, and the kitchens that will allow them access to free meals. Given her background, the media is touched to hear that she is also going to provide for their education. According to her project plans, the school is to be housed inside the building being constructed. The plans called for canteens serving nutritious food, laundry facilities, clothes distribution facilities, a small clinic, and a hospital, among other benefits. She plans to call every child in her charity Building Her Child. She is even prepared to adopt him legally and give her last name to any child who does not have a family surname or does not have a family and is homeless. Her adopted daughters will be accommodated on separate floors and rooms from her adopted boys. No child will receive any money. Rani convinced Aphrodite that if she gave money to her children, the Mumbai gangs would rob it from them. To avoid this kind of abuse and misuse of her money, she will not give cash to any child. She will provide her children with free accommodations, food, clothing, medical treatment, and education. The plans already called for a small private hospital in her building and for a small army of doctors and nurses to run it.